Hello, good morning or good afternoon or even good evening, depending on where you are. It's just took me an hour to get where I am right now. Oh, there's a fishing boat just coming in. Yeah. It's took me an hour to get where I am right now because you can't get along this marina by foot because there's a big old gate just there. You can't get through it. So to walk all the way down this wall, all the way down, you have to come on the outside. Now the outside is that. Yeah, that's how stupid I am. But listen, that's the sort of thing I like to do. Yeah, look, these boys there's one going out and one coming in. These two here, that little one there, they're going on a little fishing trip. I already spoke to them. This guy here, he's probably been out all night. Now, what I wanted to do today is try and let you understand how or tell you how I coped with going through chemotherapy, without thinking that it's the end of the world and, you know, I can't really cope, because there's a lot of stress. There's a massive amount of stress. If you can imagine, someone just told you you're going to die or you're going to have bleach put in your blood system. Yeah, it's quite a lot. There's there's a lot to be thinking about. So basically what I did is I had sort of a mental block towards it and tried to do something else. When I was going through chemotherapy, I've already dived through in the other videos what I did, how I do it and all the rest of it. What I actually did was, when they told me to stay in for the first few days, I stayed in. And then actually I had a bit of a quest going on in my mind. I thought, well, if I could walk and be outdoors, I'll just wrap up really warm, put a hat on, put a waterproof on, whatever, take an umbrella, but look pretty much like an Eskimo man, with a bin bag on, pretty much, just to make sure I didn't get hit with the elements. So what I would do, I would have a quest, I'd see if I can walk 100 meters, or see if I can walk 200 meters, or see if I could get there. And if I could get there, because chemotherapy, that's what it does to you. Obviously you've been very weak anyway because of the cancer. You've built up a fair bit of weight because you've had to get towards the chemotherapy. But actually, because you're so weak, you can't do anything. So what I wanted to do, I wanted to be able to get somewhere. I wanted to be able to do something when nobody's around, because my wife worked, although she was there for me every 5 minutes, whatever I needed, she would leave work and she would come and see me. But I wanted to not separate myself. I wanted to try and be a little bit more independent, and that's very tough, going through what I've gone through and what others are going through and what people might be, hopefully people that are watching are gonna go through. So being a little bit more independent, that's where your mind is sort of, I don't know, it's sort of left over there for a while, because your mind's off it. So if you're doing something else, your mind's off it, that means you can do something else. So I would walk. I started off, I had a lamppost down where I lived in the UK. There's a lamppost down the road from my house. So I would walk to that lamppost. Now listen, it might have took me half an hour to get there, because you really are, if you can imagine, that's how you're walking when you're that ill. A lot of other people, they haven't had it that hard, and but they can relate. But it might have took me half an hour to get there, but I made it, and that was my quest. It was the same as wanting to be treated with chemotherapy. I made it because I wanted it. It's the same in anything in life. I mean, I want to be a millionaire, but that's not going to happen. Christ. 99% of the global population want to be millionaires, but it's not going to happen. It's only the big wigs that generally become millionaires, and they stay millionaires, and that's for a reason. So if you want something, you will get it if you want it enough. I want to live in Spain and stay here for the rest of my life. I want that enough. I won't go back, because that's just me. But so I got to that lamppost, and then the hardest part was to get back. I hadn't really planned that far forward. Now, it's only 100 meters, and some of you might say, well, It's only just down the road. What's the matter with you? Well, you know, when you're that ill, you know, it's tough. So what I did, I sat on the neighbour's wall, 100 metres down, 4 doors down, sat on their wall for a few minutes and then walked back, and it took me, you know, probably an hour. So what I did then, I pretty much got myself to the next lamppost, and as time went on, I would get as far as where I walked down the hill. There was a tight left bend and it went down a hill, a real steep hill, and I made it to that hill, and I thought, I've got to get down that hill. Now this wasn't in one day, you know, this happened over days, over time. You know, it would take me a whole week to get down to the end of the road. Then I wanted to do that hard bit, the horrible bit, down the hill. But actually I needed to get back up the hill. Now you can imagine this hill is probably a 1 in, it's not a lot, 1 in 20, some, no, not even that much. Say 17, something like that. It's quite steep, but real short. And to get back up the hill, you had to have enough energy or power to get up it. Luckily for me, there was a handrail on the right hand side of the road. Oh, do you like my new jumper, by the way? Very nice. There was a handrail on the right hand side that I could hold on to, so that made it a little bit easier for me. You know, if I struggled, I'd hold on to the handrail and just stop for a few minutes. So getting up the hill, that was a hell of a mission. But I made it. I did it. Then I'd go home and I would eat. You know, I would eat just to build my energy back up. But also I would drink and drink. I can't stress that enough, folks. When you're going through chemotherapy or going through cancer, if you can drink as much water as possible. Now, if you can imagine, there's been a write-up about going back to caveman style. So if you can imagine, if you ate like a caveman, I mean, I don't mean go out next door and kill the neighbour's dog and eat that. I mean, eat like a caveman, eat more meats, eat more fresh vegetables. And obviously when you're going through chemo, everything has got to be washed, everything. But actually just drink water. Now I stopped drinking hot drinks because I thought to myself, inside your body's working hard to, you know, try and repair itself, and it's trying to repair itself as we're trying to put chemicals back in, so it's constantly battling. Now I thought, my mental state, I thought, if I put hot drinks inside myself, it's going to make it a little bit more difficult, right? Because we're not really built to have hot drinks. You know, we're animals. So we're built to drink cold water. We're built to eat animals. And in actual fact, the reason why caveman and people back in the day, this is my study. I dive far too much into things. The reason why cavemen were so muscly and so fit was because they ate fresh meat. Now, that said, I mean, I don't tell people to go out there and eat fresh meat with blood dripping from their face. But that's the reason why, because we as human beings now, we eat cooked meat, and it's because it's cooked, it breaks up easily. Now, when the meat isn't cooked, it takes that much longer to chew it. So, for instance, I like a blue steak. If I eat a blue steak, it takes me forever because I'm chewing and chewing and chewing and chewing. That's how the cavemen were, and that's why they stayed so muscly. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm no flaming, you know, Adonis, but that's pretty much how I've adopted myself. Yes, I do go to the gym. I you know, when I get ill, I have to stop. You know, for instance, I got a bit of a cold. You'll notice the last video I started touching my face and wiping my nose. There's nothing there. It's just I got a bit of a cold. It's only a tickle, but a tickle when you've got something like this and you've got a really low immune system is a big deal. So so that's the food side. So basically that's what I did. I would eat different food to try and compensate for what my body couldn't do. I would make things easier for my body, like I would make, one of my neighbours actually, she may watch this, old Lynn, she's a darling, she is. very good friends of her. She introduced me into the casserole, the electric casserole maker. You could throw everything in 5 or 6 hours. It's cooked. You don't do nothing. You wash everything, chuck it all in, blah blah blah. And that was really good for me because I was putting a lot more veg in and fresh meat and nothing else. Nothing, no added, nothing. It was just, it was what it was. And you know what? Because of my neighbour Lynn, that was one of the reasons why I think my body was helping itself, because it was fresh, it was easy to eat, it was breaking down really easy. I mean, if you eat and it's really sitting there, like if you eat a big steak, for instance, it's very heavy for a few days, right? And the reason why is because your body can't break it down. Now, if you can eat foods where your body can break it down fairly quickly, you're gonna get better. But that said, you have to drink a whole hell of a lot more water than what you're used to. You know, you hear all these things on the internet where people say, oh, you can kill yourself if you drink too much water. Oh, don't talk rubbish. The only people that have physically died from drinking too much water are these brain dead idiots that go to the gym. They work out, trying to bench press 470 kilos or whatever they do. I don't know what they do. You know, the usual ones, grunters. And they guzzle a gallon of water straight away. They suffocate. Idiots. That's the only medical proven ones. Again, study far too much. I've got to stop this. So, you know, I can't suggest to you, you know, I need to suggest to you, sorry, all my words are a bit smashed to pieces. This is stunning. This is probably the reason why I'm a bit stumbly. This is amazing. I can't believe it took me an hour to get here, but I'm so chuffed. And I can't stress enough that you need to drink as much water as you can. I drank, while I was going through chemotherapy, I was drinking 3 litres a day. That's not really enough, I don't think. You know, I drink about 4 litres a day now. Along with, I mean, I'm a coffee addict. That said, I only drink maybe 3 cups of coffee a day in the Spanish environment. In Malaga, actually, in Malaga where I live, there's 7 different types of coffee. So I have a cafe sombra, which means cloud. So it means like a small shot of coffee in a cup of milk, pretty much. So that's what I do in a nutshell, and that's what I did in a nutshell, you know. And exercise, obviously, I told you I had these places I needed to be. Well, in actual fact, a couple of months went by, and I wanted to get to the river. These things, I wouldn't stay in the house and watch telly all the time, because, you know, you got things like in the UK, Jeremy Kyle. You got things in America like Jerry Springer. These are all lowlives that have got nothing better to do than earn $50 or £50 and be on TV and argue between them. And my mum pretended she got cancer and blah 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 blah. And it just got on my nerves. It got on my nerves because everybody's always arguing about something and moaning about something. So I would always get out. And like I said in the last video, you know, in the beginning I started watching a few action films. I didn't want to be lying in bed all the time, not feeling sorry for myself, because you do anyway, because that's just part of life. You know, you should be feeling sorry for yourself. Wow, he made a big wave. You should be feeling sorry for yourself because it's a traumatic thing, cancer and chemo. So I would just try and get out as much as I can. So after you know, maybe a couple of months, I managed to get to the river, which isn't very far from my house in the UK. It's maybe, if you could say, 500 meters all told. I made it, and I was so proud of myself. It was absolutely blowing a gale, and it was pouring down with rain. And you know what? I stood in front of the river. My wife will relate to this. She'll remember because I, you know, she was at work, and I told her. She wasn't happy that I did it, but I did it. And I stood in front of that river, crying my eyes out. Now I'm not an emotional person. Even now, my wife will tell you, you know, I'm not even a romantic person, really. Well, I'm not. I'm a bit boring like that. I mean, I did get her a Valentine's card this year. I'm not really an emotional person, you know, but cancer sort of changes that way of thinking. It sort of it makes you into a different person. Like I said before, you're not the same person you used to be, you know. So I stood in front of this river and I cried my eyes out, and it was only because I got to see swans and ducks, and indeed fish, and the ripples in the river. Now I'm from a city called Worcester in the UK, and we got an enormous river called the River Severn, and it's an amazing river. It's very, very powerful, and to see that in a different way made me realise how beautiful life is. So getting down to the river, I did that, and it was maybe I was into month 4. I bought a new mountain bike, and my son will remember, because my son said, "Dad, do you think you're up to going out for a little cycle?" And not really, but I wanted to have a go. So we went down to the river and had a cycle. Well, down the hill was great, because you go down a hill, you're not doing nothing. I went down the river, and it's flat. So it was, I say it's easy now, but it wasn't easy then, you know. But it was beautiful, and I've still got a photo with me and my son on my bike, and that was another mission I wanted to do, and I did it. I'm really chuffed for myself. So I think if you know, coping with the effects of chemo, coping with the effects of cancer, coping with daily life, you know, of living with cancer, if you set yourself a goal and try and achieve it, even if you don't get there, you know. I go to the gym, and you know, even last night at the gym, I was a boxer, wasn't I? So skipping for boxers is very easy. It looks all fancy, and you know, even in my mid-40s, I can still do what I did nearly 30 years ago. And there was a skipping class going on, and I got to be honest, they were all looking at me, and I showed off a little bit, and it was quite nice. I didn't give in, but they did. And that's the sort of thing that if you can set yourself a goal and set yourself a target, you'll achieve, you will beat it. You know, you've just got to set, you know, you've got to tell yourself, I can cope with this, I can deal with this. Coping with cancer, I'm going to do this. Coping with chemo, I'm doing this. And if you can tell yourself that and try and do it, you'll do it. You'll do it. Honestly, you will. You know. But I mean, I know I do rabble on a little bit, but I'm ever so sorry. But I need to get it out. I need to tell people how I do it and how I still do it. You know, like I said before, I've got a very, very, very rare Hodgkin's lymphoma. They treat very few a year globally, and the outlook hasn't been very good. So for me, it's been, you know, it's been my way of coping with cancer, coping with chemotherapy. So it's worked for me. So and I think if more people do the same as what I do, or what I did, I think there's going to be a lot more of us survive. You know, they say there's not a cure for cancer, but there's a lady on Facebook, actually. Forgive me, I can't remember her name. I will give you a shout out. I will put her name in the link and her Facebook group for cancer survivors, because she pretty much does what I've been doing from day one. She goes to the gym, she works very hard, and she will relate to this. You know, you can't work too hard, because when you work too hard you get ill, so you have to have a few more days off. I have to learn my lessons the hardest way, because I'm a bit rubbish like that. I keep, bang, I'm ill. Then I'm off for a couple of months. So I'm doing a day at a time. You know, I went to the gym last night. I probably won't go tonight. I don't do a lot. You know, I'd probably do 40 minutes of skipping and a few little bits of weights, but I pretty much do my shadow boxing and all my stupid stuff that, you know, us boxers do. You know, I don't want to be a big muscly guy. I just want to be very fit and survive. So that woman, she does exactly the same, or in a similar way to what I do. And she goes to the gym, and she eats, you know, she put a photo of her shopping on Facebook yesterday. It was genius. Same sort of thing I do. All fresh stuff. Brilliant. So that's what I say, and that's what she says in a nutshell. And you know, and that's what I think. If we can all do the same sort of thing, we're going to cure cancer. We've got to. I don't want, you know, there's too many people saying I've lasted for so many years, but now I've got it back. You know, people deal with things differently, and if I can teach people to deal with it the same as the way I've dealt with it, or I'm dealing with it, you know, I do keep a lot of secrets. I don't let a lot out, you know, and there's a couple of friends that watch my videos that know, and in fact a family member, she knows. I don't really tell people a lot what's going on, and you know, and maybe I should, but to teach people how to do things, to teach people how to cope with cancer, cope with chemo, if I can do my bit, that's my job done. Okay, so listen, I've gone on way too long, 20 minutes, my God. I'll put the description of the lady in the link. Please go ahead and join her group and you know, and like what she does, because she said I'm inspirational, but actually I like people like her. They're inspirational to me. And hopefully I'll be inspirational to you, and you'll do what I do, and you'll do what she does, and we'll all do the same sort of thing together. And I think we can form a community where we can spread the love of what we do now. So I'll put the description in the link. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment. I love comments. Please, I'm not getting enough comments. Just leave a comment. I don't know. You're ugly, anything. So please like and subscribe. See you very soon. Thank you very much, guys. Peace.